Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. And this is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of May 23rd, 2013, which is one Ben, which translates to reed or corn in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. And we're also going to discuss the Sagittarius full moon and lunar eclipse, Mercury moving into Cancer, followed by Mars moving into Gemini, and Venus moving into Cancer. May 23rd is one Ben, which is reed, corn. It carries the themes of growth and sustenance, journeying in new directions, photosynthesis, protectors of the home and family, the world tree that connects heaven and earth, peace, harmony, and order, strength through being flexible, crusaders or champions, and sharing with others. And Quetzalcoatl, the god king feathered serpent, was prophesied to return in the year of one reed. Quetzalcoatl is also credited for replacing human sacrifice with flowers and songs and meditation. And reed connects light energy with earth energy in an integration of multidimensional existence. Anyway, this Trisena is a time to be grateful for family and home. But so share your most precious home, which is your open and loving heart. In the last report, I began looking at the human design transits for the Trisena, along with discussing the astrology and the Tzolkin day signs. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add in some another system to give you a much more depth, sort of a multi-layeral, multicultural, multi-systemic view of this 13-day period, because I think this really shows so much the dynamics of what the energies are that are affecting us. So I'm going to quickly review some of the information before discussing the neutrino forecast for the one read 13-day period, and then later on we'll do the astrology and the Tzolkin day signs as well. We start by looking at the sun, moon, and the planets, and as well as the nodes and their locations in the wheel here, just like they'd be located in an astrology chart. And for this, for the current, we're just going to be looking at the ones that are in black. The ones in the red are from the design and really don't have any meaning in this type of context. They have great meaning in an actual human design reading. So what we so instead of mapping the planets or to zodiological constellations or to each other, and looking at the angles, we look at them in relationship to the hexagrams of the I Ching. I blew this up. The hexagrams of the I Ching are on the outside. That's the stack of lines. And you can see that then there's a number inside. That's actually the numeric representation of each of the I Ching hexagrams. There's 64 of those. And then inside of that, you can see the zodiological constellations. And, what's in black here are the just now planets, planetary positions. So what I thought I'd start out with actually is we'll look at the sun at the beginning of this report period on the 23rd for one read. The sun is newly in Gemini here. You can see Gemini right there. But in human design, we're looking at it as being in the 20th hexagram right there. And then right outside, you can see the stack of lines. We look at them from bottom to top. Then this would be yin, 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 and then two yang lines on the top. But you don't really need to know that at this point. So each one of these positions, mapping it into a hexagram, they then have specific locations up here in the body graph, which is what this is a chart of, and that the shapes inside the body graph, they're called centers. And they represent the next stage in our evolution as human beings from having 7 chakras. And this design right here, this is the traditional 7 chakras being connected with nadis. But what we're looking at is since 1781, we've gone through a mutation. We're no longer a 7 chakra being. Our energetic is now of having these 9 centers that are connected with energy channels, just like the chakras are. So basically, the sun in the 20th hexagram gets mapped to an opening in an energy channel. And the openings in these energy channels are called gates. And the 20th gate is right up here in the drawing. This gate is on the left side of the throat center. This brown square is the throat center. And it's in what we call the integration channel. So these energy pathways are called channels, and they come from the Kabbalah. And this is a very interesting one that the 20 is in, because this is called the integration channel. And the reason for it is it has 4 gates associated with it. We have the 20, we have the 10, we have the 34, and we have the 57. Every other channel in this diagram has only 2 channels. Only the integration channel has access, has only 2 gates. Only the integration channel has access to 4 gates. Its integration channel is really about survival. But it's not just about survival of us as physical beings. It's also about survival of our integrity. So I really find this is interesting, because I've been doing human design readings for a while. I did astrology for many, many years, and I just find that human design is amazingly accurate, and really has become my primary tool when I provide a reading. So I'm going to add another level of complexity to this diagram by adding gates that are being activated by the sun or the planets or the nodes, regardless of whether they form a channel. Last week I only showed the channels and how they were moving. Now I'm going to show what we call hanging gates or potentials. And so at the very beginning of the one reed Trecena, we have the north node is right here in the first gate. We have the south node opposing it on the next side in the second gate. We have Mercury and Venus are over here in the 35th gate. And we have Mars up here in the 23rd gate. And the Neptune is down here in the 55th gate. I'm not going to follow the moon with this demonstration because it moves so fast. It just flies through 3 or 4 gates in a day. And I think it would be more confusing than really adding a whole lot of energy here. And last time I was talking about the fact that we have Uranus, which is this glyph right here in black that looks like an H with a circle at the bottom. It's in Aries, as we all know from the past reports, but it's in the 21st hexagram. And we have Jupiter down here. Again, it's it goes a little bit outside. We see it's in Gemini, and it's in the 45th hexagram. And these 2 points make up a channel. We have the 21 down here, Uranus, the 45 up here with Jupiter, and this makes up the money channel. And it's interesting because the theme of this really sounds like Taurus, but neither one of these are in Taurus. They're on either side of Taurus. So the money line is about resources and support of the family because it's tribal. And just so we know, tribe is like those people that are your family, or even if they're not blood, they're part of your tribe or your extended family because you're so close to them. And tribal is always about support, okay? And so during this Trecena, it has a conditioning effect where people start, if they don't naturally have that channel, they start to feel like they do. And then as time goes on, it moves on. So how this affects people is it conditions folks to want to try to gain resources through their willpower, often without others to collaborate with. This is going to bring a focus on who are the haves, who are the have-nots on the material plane. And this is going to be a time period when people will believe that they can manifest what they want through their will. And this completes on May 23rd when Jupiter will move on from here to the 12th gate. We'll cover that in a few minutes. So those folks who have not completed their will to materialism by that date are going to find that their efforts are going to fall short. Other than those 2 planets in tribal gates, we begin this Trecena with most of the other planets are in individual gates, except for over here, the 35 is a collective gate. I'm going to talk a little bit about collective in a moment. But individual circuitry is about empowerment that comes through being who we are meant to be instead of following the conditioning of our families, schools, religions, and governments. And individuals said to be deaf, that they don't hear the other. And the reason for that is so they don't get distracted from their authentic path. And we have Pluto is down here in the 38, and it's moved slow, so it's going to be there for a long time. We have Saturn is just retrograded a little while back into the 28, which gives us this channel here, and this is called the channel of struggle, which is going to be affecting us all until the beginning of August. And this brings experiences where people will struggle against overwhelming odds. It's like the typical, the archetypal hero's journey of fighting for our purpose that by doing that empowers others to stubbornly fight for what holds meaning for them. So like an empowered person empowers just by their example. As this Trisena begins, we have, like we said, we have the sun is up here in the 20. The earth is 180 degrees opposite in the design, which is down here in the 34, which gives us this whole channel, 34 up to here, making the corner, connecting to the throat. So it's connecting the sacral to the throat. And this is the channel of charisma. And it's going to be with us until the 26th. This will influence us to become busier in the now, where the things we think about will actually become the experiences we're having. Expect folks to be deeply involved in their daily activities and unaware of the expectations of others. And people will not likely even notice how busy they are, with the possibility of even erupting spontaneously without an awareness of why when you start to go, weren't we supposed to do this? So this is going to be a time when everybody's kind of in their own little world. And if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If it's not in front of me, they're not seeing it. Okay, late on the 23rd or early on the 24th, depending on your time zone, Mars is going to move from this 23rd hexagram here, and it's going to move down to the next hexagram, which is the 8th hexagram, which activates the 8th gate. And when that happens, we get a channel defined, and whenever a channel is defined, the centers on either side of the channel become defined and activated. And so what we get with this is called the channel inspiration, because we also have the north node is here in the first hexagram, in the first gate. And we're going to have this energy is going to be present until the 31st, which will be a time period where people will have courage to stand out from the crowd by being their authentic self. This is very creative and is exhibited as self-expression in their own unique way. As another individual channel, this is, again, it's about empowerment. So those who model being different and being inspirational will be empowered, but they're also going to empower other people. I think at the very least, we can expect people to be addressing different under this energy. And then on the 23rd, Venus and Mercury are also both going to move from this 35th gate to join Jupiter down here in the 45th gate. So this potential disappears. And then the very next day on the 24th, Jupiter moves out of the 45th and moves on to the 12th. So that creates this potential here, which is also in an individual gate again. On the 26th, the Sun-Earth axis moves from the to the 16. The Sun moves into the 16, and the Earth moves into the 9. So the Sun is now coming out of here. It's no longer in the 20. It's now moving right next door to the 16, which is right up here at the throat. And it's again, it's a potential. It's not gonna, it doesn't connect down here. And so these other connections are no longer in place. And the sacral is no longer defined because the channel is gone that was defining it. So these gates. Oh, and also we have the 9. So over here is where the Earth has moved. So these gates, the 16 and the 9, these are collective, which is the third type of circuitry. And channels basically fall into 3 groups. There's individual, which is about empowerment by being authentic. There's tribal, which is about supporting our families and those people that are so close to us that they're part of our extended family. And now the third type that we're talking about is collective, which is about sharing with others, even those that are beyond our family, like the idea of government systems that where we all share the burden, through our taxes to provide services to the collective. And the collective energy is sharing for the betterment of everyone. It's not limited to just our specific group. And with the sun and the 16, um, this is about things being shared with enthusiasm. The 16 is called enthusiasm. Neither the sun in the 16 or the earth in the 9 have the opposing gates activated. There's nothing in the 48. There's nothing in the 52. So they're not creating channels. But the 16, this is the gate of skills. And so what it's looking across for is down here, the 48. This is about having depth. And the 48 is called the well. And I think the best way I like to describe this is the Beatles. John Lennon and Paul McCartney both had one of these gates. And and it's interesting because like when John Lennon learned guitar, he actually learned banjo first from his aunt. And so when he got a guitar, he tuned it like a banjo. And then he met Paul McCartney, who had the 16th gate, the gate of skills, who taught John Lennon how to tune the guitar correctly. And on the other side, John Lennon had the 48. He had the well. He had the depth. So together, they formed this whole channel in an electromagnetic, which, one of the great things about human design is you can look at your relationships with other people and see where the sparks are. And when John Lennon and Paul McCartney got this electromagnetic, that's the channel of talent. So it's interesting to me because when you look at them, when they separated and went their own ways and became their own type of songwriters, Paul McCartney songs, are very different than John Lennon, songs when they were no longer writing. Because, when I think about, Paul McCartney, he's got the skills. John Lennon, he had the depth in this channel, and when I think about Imagine, that song has a lot more depth for me than Band on the Run, let's say. Anyway, certainly I've diverged here. So on the 27th, both Mercury and Venus move out of the 45, okay? And they're moving to the 12. So they're following Jupiter along. And so now they're both over here. And so this moves on, which means that the ego center is no longer defined. And then on the 30th, Mercury's just flying along here. So on the 30th, Mercury then moves on from being in from the 12, where it just got to. Now it's moved down and it's gone to the 15. So we then have the 15 here as a definition, and then the 31st, Mars moves and it's moving along here, and it's no longer going to be in the 8. It moves on and it's now connected over here to the 20. Again, as a hanging gate. When we look at this, because now there are no definitions for the throat, this moves on, and there's no definition for the G center. So we're really just looking at one defined channel until we get to June 1st. And what happens with June 1st is Venus moves into the 15th gate, which is this gate that's opposite. Venus moves into the 15th gate, joining Mercury there. And then later in the day, the Sun-Earth axis moves on here. So the Sun-Earth is no longer in the 9 or the 16. And when it does that, it creates a definition, and I'm going to go for. And what it does is we have that it's moving into the 515. Okay, so we now have the 5 being defined, which now gives us this channel, and we get the 15 is already been defined. So basically, and I'm sorry, 35 also picks up an activation here. So we're gonna just make this work with what we got. So that's over here. Anyway, hopefully it stays at least as long as the planet's there. So anyway, this 515 that's being created with Mercury in the 15, and then Venus joining it in the 15, and the Earth axis in the 5 gives us the channel a rhythm for the remainder of this Trecena. This brings a time period, and because we have a channel, I'm sorry, we need to put our definitions back there, because now the sacral and the G center both are being defined by this movement. The channel of rhythm, it brings a time period of being in the flow, so that we can experience a harmony with the life force, creation, and the deeper patterns that all affect us. It's collective again, so it's here to be shared. So expect people to be following their own rhythm in life, which might not match our expectations or agreed upon time frames. And then June 2nd, Mercury moves from the 15, but we still keep the definition because Venus is still there, and it's going to move from the 15 to the 52. So Mercury now is down there for that hanging gate. And so that's basically what's going to be going on for this Trecena as far as the human design transits. And so I'm going to move to our next diagram. And but before I get to all the daily energy of the one Ben or read Trecena, I thought I would look at the major astrological influences of all the planets that are appearing to move forward from our vantage point here on Earth. Everything's moving forward. You know, everything's looking like it's moving in the same direction that we would expect it to, except for Saturn and Pluto, which are appearing to move retrograde or in a reverse motion from our perspective here on Earth. And as I said before, these planets really don't move in reverse in their orbit, but they just appear to be moving backwards, much like a car passing a slower moving car. There is a point where the slower moving car appears to be moving in reverse compared to landmarks in the far distance. And Saturn appearing to be moving in reverse can be compared to a time period where it's best for recuperation, or there may be an obstacle we need to backtrack regarding some the path we're on, to find a different way around. When Saturn's moving backwards, it creates limitations that we need to backtrack. And then Pluto, planet of transformation through death and rebirth cycle, moving retrograde, which is always about reviewing the past. It's going to require releasing anything from the past that's a burden to our new path. And, Pluto represents death and completion, and it's in Capricorn, which is about to break down the structures to bring transformation. Now, Neptune, which is right here in Pisces, it's at a standstill. It's actually getting ready to begin moving retrograde on June 7th, just after this Trisena. But when it's at a standstill, this is when what we consider to be at the peak of its power. So Neptune in Pisces, this is spirituality, this is creativity, but it's also like delusions. As the Lord of the Sea, is at the peak of his power. Neptune pushes us to transcend the physical world and to connect with our higher purpose and spiritual transformation. But it also encourages escapism, as some people are going to seek unconscious, will seek to be unconscious rather than to awaken, because Neptune kind of cuts both ways. It's either here to really awaken us to our higher potential, our higher spirituality, or it's here to create an illusion in our life. So this could be a time of escapism, or this could be a time of people really delving into spiritual pursuits. Sometimes it's very hard to tell which one of those you're getting, because it's Neptune. Anyway, let's look at the daily energy of the Trisena. May 23rd, one reed. Ben is what's the Mayan word for it, or corn is another description. This is the Tzolkin date that's about unity experienced through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors. That doesn't sound right at all. It's really about it's about growth and the home. And honoring our home. So with the Scorpio moon is finding support from Neptune and merging with Saturn and in harmony with Pluto. The day begins with fantasies and daydreams distracting us from accomplishing a routine task while keeping our innermost thoughts and feelings to ourselves. And then later shifts to sort of deep emotions finding their way to the surface and really being felt on a profound level. The 24th is 2 Ish or Jaguar. This is about duality being experienced through enjoying nature. And on this day, we have the Mercury is conjunct Venus. So from our perspective here on Earth, there's a line. Here's the Earth, here's Mercury, here's Venus. So they're exactly at the same degree of Gemini, which stimulates our appreciation of beauty, whether it be art or poetry, music, people or nature, and in Gemini, it's also about beauty and communications. You might expect people to express their love for others. This transit is really favorable for financial and business dealings, and with the moon in Scorpio opposed by Mars, which is emotionally excitable and can be irritable and can cause some problems in our personal lives. And then May 25th is 3 Men or Eagle. This is about taking action through seeing from a higher perspective. And on this day, we have the full moon at 4 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's also the lunar eclipse. With the moon opposing the sun, it's also challenged by Neptune and supported by Uranus. This is the second lunar eclipse, which wraps up this eclipse season. We're not going to have another eclipse until October. And with any eclipse, there's an increase in the intensity. This lunar eclipse, though, is less powerful than the last solar eclipse that we had on the 9th that occurred in the Ring of Fire. We had the Ring of Fire activated in the geological area that they call the Ring of Fire in Australia and moving into the Pacific. The Sagittarius moon and the Gemini sun, this wants freedom to explore with greater understanding of our world. These are more social signs that want to share their wisdom with others rather than feelings reflecting in solitude. Because there's, Gemini and Sag, these are really interactive with others. This lunation brings more transitional energy that pushes us to move in a new direction by letting go of the outdated. This is a powerful high tide event that shifts aspects of our lives where we're going to move forward to align with new goals. Neptune brings us dreams into the equation. Uranus brings energy and enthusiasm to kick it into high gear. This could also bring a great deal of creativity, but it also has this quality where the movement could be lost in fantasies or distractions. We may find we can find balance by being conscious of being in the now, while also flowing in creativity and inspiration. Mental and spiritual energies are reaching their peak with information flowing at a frantic pace. Communication is becoming increasingly important, with an abundance for new ideas and new inspirations. This is a real important full moon to balance our ability to figure things out mentally, and our intuition for understanding in a much broader sense, because Sagittarius is really looking at the big picture. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, try to find activities that help you feel centered or grounded. And this is going to be the last eclipse until the fall, but you can expect that this energy is going to remain intense for the next several weeks. And then on the 26th, we have one Keeb, or wisdom, stability through introspection, meditation, and forgiveness. And on that day, we have the sun square Neptune. So again, from our perspective here on Earth, the sun squares Neptune. So this is a 90-degree angle in the square. It's challenging. What it does is Neptune's effect is it's a really kind of a low energy day, which seems to be more take more energy to complete normal tasks. If possible, this would be a day to have a lighter schedule and more time to rest. Some will feel like they're getting really beaten down by the transit, so it's not so good for work that requires, courage or a great deal of confidence. So don't get discouraged. This is energy only lasts a day or so. And on this day, we also have the moon in Sagittarius opposing Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter, which begins the day with pleasant energy for enjoying sensual experiences or rich foods, with a caution against overindulgence, and with a conflict between feelings and reason, and then later shifts to, more benevolent, generous feelings towards others when we get the influence of Jupiter in there. May 27th, 5 Kaban, or Earth, empowerment through gratitude for Mother Earth. We've got Mercury at this point is now moved along here. It's it's forming a straight line from the Earth here to Jupiter. They're all both at the same angle, which is at 23 degrees of Gemini, and it has us looking at larger issues in life. It helps our comprehension by seeing the bigger picture or perspective, and incorporating new information and new directions in life. It also brings more tolerance of the viewpoints of others. This could be a time of evaluating our hopes and dreams along with our overall plans for the future. Jupiter, it's really going to be quite optimistic. It's particularly good for business or commercial transactions, or contract negotiations, or things where we're dealing with the law, especially if we recognize that we're going to get what we want by helping others fulfill their needs. It would be best to avoid being overconfident. This may be a time where people might overlook important details under the influence of Jupiter because it's so far back looking at the big picture. We also have the moon in Capricorn in harmony with Neptune and Saturn, and merging with Pluto and challenged by Uranus. The day begins with a greater sensitivity and empathy for the moods of others while feeling calm and reflective. And then later it shifts to experiences as it brings up emotional energies from the deepest parts of our psyche under the influence of Pluto, along with kind of an impulsiveness to act hasty and jump to conclusions and rebel against others with the influence of Uranus. And then the 28th, we have 6 Etsnam or Flint. This is about being in the flow through being introspective. And on that day, we now have Venus is forming the straight line from our perspective here on Earth. So it's at the same degree as Jupiter is. So Venus conjunct Jupiter is really one of the most agreeable transits. Unfortunately, it only lasts a day, but it's a very pleasant effect on people's moods. Many of us will feel optimistic and outgoing and eager. It can also bring folks to indulge themselves and to spend money as self-discipline is at a low. So it might be a great day to have some kind of celebration. And of course, if it's Venus, love relationships are favored. This is excellent energy for a wedding. We have the moon in Capricorn, finding support from Mars, which is good for asserting ourselves in a positive manner and standing our ground if necessary. And then May 29th is 7 Kawak or Storm, which is about reflection through recognizing the gifts of adversity, as the Aquarius moon is challenged by Saturn and supported by the sun and in harmony with Uranus. The day begins with feelings of loneliness and isolation, and then later it shifts to a sense of inner harmony, which is motivated, which is mirrored in the outside world, and can finally have a pleasant yet restless effect with Uranus. So people are feeling, a little restless, but not in a bad way, but they're craving emotional excitement to do something that's really outside of the daily routine. And then on the 30th, we have 8 Ahau, which is the sun, which is balanced through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors, as the moon in Aquarius finds support from Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury, and is challenged by Mars. Early in the day, people have a pleasant sense of well-being while enjoying social interactions with others, and then later they're feeling in touch with their emotions and expressing those emotions to others, which also has, when it's being influenced by Mars, later on can bring kind of irritable feelings, which could lead to needless disputes. Under the influence of Mars. May 31st, 9 Imesh, or crocodile, patience experienced through nurturing new beginnings, with Mercury entering Cancer, where due to its retrograde cycle, it's going to spend 10 weeks in Cancer. So Mercury, like I said, it's flying. It's now crossed this line. It's found its way into Cancer. And it's going to be moving retrograde, appearing to be moving reverse. So 10 weeks is going to be in the sign of the Crab, which is going to have us reviewing our homes and families from the perspective of security. And this shift begins to move the shift from all Gemini's intellectual perspective to Cancer's emotional expression. We also have Mars entering Gemini. So Mars has now moved along and crossed this line, and now it's in Gemini, which brings an intellectual quality to sexual attraction, where affairs are really going to begin in the mind before they become a reality, a mental adventure that eventually leads to physical passion. So it also brings more flexibility and adaptability to change in Gemini, and it's going to be in Gemini until July 13th. As we have the last quarter moon in Pisces merging with Neptune, finding support from Saturn, challenged by the sun, in harmony with Pluto, we start with feelings of empathy for those around us, including the possibility of having clairvoyance or telepathic experiences for those of us who are really sensitive by nature. And then because of Saturn, we have kind of more a sober, realistic view of life. And then later it shifts to encountering a challenge to our daily routine, uh, with emotional experiences coming from deep inside of us, and being very profound. And then we get to June. June 1st is 10 Eek, or wind. This is about manifestation through communications. And on that day, we have the sun forming a sextile, which is a 60-degree angle to Uranus down here in Aries. So from our perspective here on Earth, the angle is 60 degrees in a sextile. This makes the day more interesting, from our encounters with others being more illuminating to enlightening experiences while moving through our normal routine. This stimulates our curiosity and imaginations. Folks are quick-witted. Conversations are going to be lively, but there also may be a little less tolerant of any restrictions with the Uranus effect. Under this influence, it's more important to be true to your authentic individual self than meeting other people's expectations. As the moon in Pisces is challenged by Jupiter, which brings benevolent and generous feelings to those in our immediate environment. June 2nd is 11 Akbal, or night. This is a resolution through contemplating the stars. As Venus now enters Cancer, so it's crossed the line into the watery sign of the crab, which is romantic and sensitive, but it's also practical. Cancer is about the home and the family. Venus is about love, beauty, and socializing. So this might be a nice time to entertain in the home between the 2nd and the 27th of June. And on the 2nd, we also have the moon is challenged by Venus, Mercury, and Pluto, and in harmony with Mars, which begins with pleasant social energy for getting to know people, and then shifts to desiring to work independently for people. And then later, folks are critical in their communications, particularly with those that they have intimate relationships with. And then it wraps up with having the compulsion to act in a way that may not be good for us in the long run. And the third is 12 Khan, or seed, which is about understanding through planting seeds and making new connections. And at this point, Mercury forms a trine with both Neptune and Saturn. So we've got Neptune down here in Pisces. We've got Saturn over here in Scorpio. Mercury's in Cancer. These are the three water signs. Sorry about that. So basically, from our perspective here on the Earth, there's a 120-degree angle between Mercury and Saturn and Mercury and Neptune, and this is all moving towards this activation of this grand trine in the water signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Mercury, finding support from Neptune, is very imaginative and creative, but also more sensitive to the world around us. This favors art, music, poetry, romantic literature, but also daydreams. We'll probably hear more about people talking about their fantasies or hopes for the future, and people are going to be less interested in discussing practical matters. It's a great day for studying mystical and spiritual subjects, and we can transcend rational thought and just know things through our intuition. But then we have Saturn, which is like almost the opposite of Neptune. They govern really different things, and it's supporting Mercury. So this may bring more thoughts about serious concerns. This brings a concentration and attention to detail. So what I think is really interesting is how Neptune and Saturn are going to play together. I think working on creativity, working being Saturn and creativity being Neptune, it will be like an excellent way to merge these energies. And we have the Aries moon merging with Uranus in harmony with the sun. The day starts with people feeling impulsive and acting rashly, changing moods change quickly and unexpectedly, and then later it shifts to fantasies I'm sorry, later shifts to feeling balance between our inner and outer worlds. And then June 4th, 13 Chitan or serpent. I bet you never thought we'd even get to the 13th day here. This has been a long report. Anyway, in the Tzolkin, we're talking about movement to the next stage through being flexible. That's the energy of the serpent. With the moon in harmony with Jupiter, Venus, and Neptune, and opposed by Saturn, the day's emotional energy begins with feelings being in the flow and having a sense of wholeness, along with some pleasant energy to be with friends and loved ones. And then later it shifts to people being very sensitive to the moods of others, and while feeling kind of isolated. This could create conflicts in relationships because people seem to overwhelm us with their emotional issues while not really being very responsive to our needs. So, it might be a good day to choose your companions very carefully for that day. And basically everyone's feeling the same thing. Like others are overwhelming our emotions, and we're feeling like our needs are not being met when we tell them to those people. So anyway, no matter how these energies are affecting you during this one read or Corn Tzolkin, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or being with someone you love. Every day we have is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of our lifetime on the world stage. So just take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part by remembering you're a spiritual being that's having this human experience. So sit back, watch your experience as you navigate your life, and don't get lost in all the day-to-day stuff. I mean, yes, you have to, be a human and do your part, but, also recognize that this is the Maya, this is the illusion, and we're all here to gain what we can. So it doesn't have to be really taken particularly personally. Anyway, thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age is going to be on June 5th, 2013 for one Kimi or transformation. We'll also have Neptune's going to be turning retrograde. Gemini, we're going to have the Gemini new moon. And as always, you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, or the Mayan Magics website. I encourage you to share this information as videos or as the text, which is actually available a number of places. It's on Facebook, but you can also look it up on Before It's News. There's a New World Birth, and also I started an astrology blog on bloggers, so there's a New World Birth there where the text is. So feel free to take that text and share it. Just give credit where credit's due. I'm going to be discussing the astrology of June 2013 and providing some short 10 to 15 minute human design readings for the participants on the Earth Needs Rebels show on Orion Talk Radio on June 3rd. As always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you wish to schedule a reading or you have any questions. And I am providing readings and wish to make this available to the greatest amount of folks. So I've created 3 options with 3 levels of compensation. These readings are designed to provide information to help you navigate these difficult times. At the very basic level, we're going to look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your individual strategy and authority in making life decisions based on your unique design. I include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed astrology chart, along with the human design reading at the middle level, And at the top level, the Human Design and Astrology Transit reading is recorded and sent to you on MP3 that you can download to your computer and listen to over and over again. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. This is how we stay alive here at New World Birth. And I'd love to provide you a reading. And on the Mind Magics website, check out the testimonials. People are really appreciating what they're connecting with through readings here at New World Birth. So anyway, if you've been thinking about getting a reading, get a hold of me. This stuff was really helpful given this time period we're navigating. You'll need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect over Skype to receive your reading. Also, I'm accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And truly, where we're going with New World Birth is we're at a juncture here. So please get a reading or send a donation. Help us keep New World Birth going, because if the money's not flowing, we're not going to be able to do this a whole lot longer. And I'm going to have to do something else, so I won't have time to put these reports out. So please, contact us. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, as always, I am blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application in our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh. I'm looking forward to connecting with you on any level, even if it is during we'll put out a video on it'll be out for the 5th of June, and don't forget about the radio show on the 3rd of June. Anyway, thank you so much. I mean, as always, I'm just blessed that you even take the time out to connect with this stuff. So thank you. And I hope to connect with you again soon.